Yo, what up, dogs? Last weekend, I went and saw the Last Voyage of the Demeter. And I went on a Sunday at 7 o'clock to my local theater, standard definition. I did not have a nap. I thought I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I'll tell you right now, honestly, I could not handle it. Because by the third act, my eyes were getting heavy. They were like, "Hey, let's pull up and get a quick nap in here." And so I was struggling for that last half. I did not fall asleep though. I did not doze off. But you know when your eyelids get heavy and you're fighting your eyelids, that's what was happening. And so I made it. I made it through. I had to take a little. I had to just sit in my car for a couple minutes, be like, "Can I drive?" But I woke up as soon as I got out of the theater and got that fresh air in me. I'm like, "Oh yes, that was nice." So when I got to the theater, just an update on the concessions side of things, still empty. Even less now. Like there's like no combos still, smaller bags of popcorn, smaller cups. Like they're just running out of stuff there. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't been back to that theater because they have nothing there. So I'll go back. I'll probably go there when Gran Turismo comes out and or Equalizer 3 comes out. I'll go there. I went to a different theater for Blue Beetle. So I get into the theater. There's only like 10 of us in there, really. It was a very small, like just little clusters of couples. It looked like a date night type of movie for people. And the main reason why I chose this movie over, say, The Meg 2 and Talk to Me and Haunted Mansion and stuff is I love vampire movies. So I have to go and see a vampire movie when it comes out. I didn't even know about this movie. It was like a last minute, like, what is this? Like I saw a trailer for it and I was like, what's this? A movie about Dracula? And the story is all about the ship logbook, the captain's log entries from Bram Stoker's Dracula. And it's about Dracula's voyage from, I guess, the port of Transylvania to London, England, right? I actually don't know the story of Dracula. I've never read the book. So I was like, I'm interested, okay? So they got me on the interest. So I get in there. I'm ready to watch this movie. And yeah, it's a movie. It's an okay movie. Again, I don't like crapping on films and stuff. Like, people put in hard work to make this stuff happen for us. But this movie is, it's just okay. It's okay. If you need a nap, you might want to put this on. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it, though. Let's get into it. It's an R-rated movie. It's 2 hours too long. I honestly think they could get this down to a tight hour 35, maybe hour 40 if you want to push it. But yeah, 2 hours was too much. And it is directed by André Øvredal, who is, for me, I know him as the director of Troll Hunter. So if you like Troll Hunter, you might like his style and his other movies before this. And this is okay, like I said. It's executed nicely. I like the concept of how they. I do like the concept of Dracula. Like, he looks like a bat, like Man Bat from Batman, like the Batman animated series, that Man Bat version of Batman. He reminds me of that. But if you know like old vampiric lore and you've seen like a lot of old art that shows the vampire as a bat, then it's a lot of similarities to that. So I like the creature design. I like the ship. I like the setting. But there's things about this movie that just suck. Mostly the story. And let's get back into it, okay? So we are introduced first and foremost to the ship crashed on the banks of, I guess, England, right? And this is the setup of the last voyage of the Demeter. It's crashed. These policemen find the logbook of the captain and they start reading it. So there's a little narrative. I hope this buzzing doesn't. There's a lot of action going on outside. They're doing construction on the gas station out here, so I hope it doesn't come through on the video. Fingers crossed. So we're introduced to the logbook and a little bit of narration, and we start off with the port where the Demeter is, and the captain, who is played by Liam Cunningham, is getting ready to go on the next voyage from, let's say, Transylvania to England, right? And he tells his second-hand man, his name is Wojciech, who's played by David Dastmalchian. He's like, I said, the second hand in command, and he's going to eventually become the leader or captain at some point in time, right? And he tells him to be like, we need 3 new crew dudes, go get them for us, right? So word breaks out into the port that this ship is looking for 3 guys, go to the lineup, and this is where we're introduced to Clemens, who is played by Corey Hawkins. Now Clemens seems to be a guy who is stuck in, let's say, Transylvania. I think they're in Amsterdam, actually. I don't know. They're stuck. He's stuck, right? So this is his opportunity to get on the ship that's going back home for him. And so he goes to the lineup, and Wojciech's going through everybody, like you, and then he talks to Clemens, and he's like, what are you all about, right? Now, I guess this is a point where we need to say that Clemens is a black man, because I guess that's the reason why he didn't get put on the ship, but I think it's mostly due to the fact that he's a doctor and has no ship skills, but he says he has ship skills. It's weird. This character is a weird character because it brings throughout the story race into it, where it's like, I don't care. I just want to know about you as a character, and I want you to be cool. This character's not cool. Ugh. He's just not cool. Like, I don't care about your race. You're a dock worker. It doesn't matter to me. Tell me how cool you are. That's all I want. Cool. So he gets passed up on, and he's like, ugh, it must be racism. And he goes to the port and just looks at the ship. And as we go through all of this, there is a cargo being loaded up that is from Transylvania. And the Transylvanians are helped loading it up. And on the cargo has the seal of Dracula, which is this big dragon on it. And the new recruits are like, oh my God, that's the demon seal. I can't be a part of it. This ship is cursed. That cargo's cursed. And what happens is, through the commotion, the cargo drops, and Clemens goes and saves the little boy who's under it, named Toby, who is played by, sorry, I closed my notes. I thought I was done with this paperwork. That is played by Woody Norman. And he saves him. So Clemens saves him. The guy who pointed out the demon stuff, he's like, I'm off the ship, I'm out. And Captain Elliot is like, yo, Clemens, I like the cut of your jib. You saved my boy. And it's not necessarily clear that if it's his son or not, like Elliot's son. But we can say it's an adopted kid, at least, okay? So he's like, I like the cut of your jib. You saved my boy. Get on the ship. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And Clemens is like, yes, sir. I'm on the ship. So Toby starts showing Clemens around the ship. Like, he's like, that's this is that. So you see the mess hall. You see the bunker where the cargo is being held. You see where the farm is in there, like where all the animals for the food is. You see the sleeping quarters, like stuff like that, right? So you get really set up of what the ship is and its capabilities and where action should happen, right? They're setting it up. So as the night goes on and they voyage off into the sea to go to England, the first night they get hit with some waves, right? And it causes the cargo to loosen, fall, and crack open, right? And that causes a little distress amongst the crew. So they're like, what is this? And they go and see it, and it's a box open with dirt and a woman inside it. So they pull the woman out, and she is alive, barely, according to Clemens, because he's the doctor. So they put her in some kind of room that's near the captain's quarters, and he performs a blood transfusion. And I don't know much about blood transfusions, but I thought like blood has to match blood. Like type O has to match type O before you could transfuse it. And I don't think you can match like type O with type A because that could kill someone. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the credits, the comments, because that took me out. I was like, what the hell is this? Can you just do that? So Clemens is busy doing this, right? And the crew is talking about her being a woman, it's a witch, it's a curse, blah, blah, blah. We should get rid of her. The woman comes through, and she's been like mumbling stuff like feed and things like that. And like she's kind of losing it in a sense, right? She's not totally healed yet, but she's going through some stuff as the transfusion is happening. And this takes Clemens kind of out of it, right? So what does happen though is another box was opened that we didn't see, and that is the release of Dracula. Now I'm going to be 100% honest with you right here. I did not at once think this movie was portraying Dracula, okay? And Dracula is played, they actually have an actor who plays Dracula in this. His name is Javier Botet, and I thought the vampire was 99% CGI'd throughout this film, but I could see some instances where he would be a costumed vampire, and that's cool, because as Dracula feeds, his appearance alters into man-bat, so to speak. Yeah, that's like his final form. It's weird, but like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Not once did I think this was Dracula. I thought this was another minion, like a henchman of Dracula. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, what is this? I'll tell you more, okay? I'll tell you more. So there's a vampire on the loose that is Dracula, and he eats animals first, right? He goes after the livestock. And so that Childress has to go and examine the livestock. And he's like, we don't know what this is. This could be a disease, blah, blah, blah. But I think, Clemens thinks it's something attacked it, right? And they don't know what it is. They're kind of blaming it on the crew. And again, back to the woman, it could be her. She's cursed. But Clemens is like, yo, I've been with her the whole time. It's not her. It's got to be maybe something else. Or it's just like a disease, something, you know what I'm saying? Like, old-timey problems, right? So the girl comes through, and it turns out her name is Anna, and she is played by Ainsley Francois. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. And she is, I thought as soon as she came out, I was like, oh, that's one of her Dracula's brides, like the three women. I thought that was her, right? So, or one of them. And I was like, oh, that's a vampire. Like, if you know your vampire stuff, you know what's happening, right? So, she is a vampire, by the way. Spoilers. It doesn't matter. You'll find out later on. But through the blood transfusion, she comes through, and she's like, no, it's something else. But she doesn't really tell anyone anything. And so, they're plotting to, like, the crew's plotting to get rid of her. Like, we got to throw her off the boat. But then another night goes by. So, everything during the day is story-based. And then we have another night. And that night, the vampire attacks again. And they're like, what is going on here? And so this happens throughout the entire movie. Every night, a new person dies. And it ramps up. The chaoticness does ramp up. And I think that is like the only cool part in this movie is when it hits night, stuff's going to hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, vampire time is happening. And that is cool because you kind of do look forward to the night. The daylight hours are just like boring. But once the nighttime hits, you're like, all right, someone's going to die. So there is this pacing of we set up everything, we got you on the boat, and now you are going to die. And so every night, because the ship voyage is like, let's say 7 days. So one night, someone dies. And as each night, it starts off very harmless. The first one's just like, he got bit, right? And the next one, like someone got eaten, like head is decapitated. And then it ramps up where he one of the guys, what's his name? I wrote him down because he becomes like a zombie. I think the character's name was Olgarin, and he's played by Stefan Kapicic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm sorry if I did not. And he gets bitten, and this is kind of when they're like, oh, there's a vampire. Or some kind of demon is on board. Because the character is they have him bound down, and he's kind of alive. So they're like, oh, we could do another blood transfusion. They do so many blood transfusions in this movie. It's kind of ridiculous. So what happens is this character becomes kind of like a zombified vampire thingy that's after Toby. And Toby runs away and is locked away in the captain's quarters, and he gets confronted by Dracula. And Dracula bites him, right? And so there's another blood transfusion. So they beat up the zombie too. They kill it. And then, actually they didn't kill it. They capture him, bound him up on the mast. And when the daylight came, he started freaking out and bursted into fire. And they're like, what the hell is this demonic stuff? So Toby is getting a blood transfusion from Captain Elliot. And he's like trying to save this boy. But they can't save him. It's actually kind of the sad part. They can't save him, right? So he also bursts into flames because, yeah, that's a whole thing. Like, it's not a whole thing as like that Toby becomes a vampire and starts eating everyone. No. They go to bury him at sea, like the whole plank, and throw him off the edge. But then Captain Elliot, he's like so distraught and like just destroyed, right? He's like peels back the veil and goes like one last look at him, but then Toby wakes up and is ready to attack him, and so he bursts into flames and everyone's getting caught on fire. It's actually a cool scene. See, this movie has cool things in it, but it's still sleepy. Like you have to really sludge and trod, like get through it to get to some of the cool stuff, you know? And there is cool stuff in here. That's why it's an okay film. But I was like, it's boring. There's a lot of boring to get to the cool. And I want, like, if you're going to pace me out with boring stuff, like, all movie has pacing, right? It's just like how you present the pacing. And because it's boring is because of the characters, because I'm not interested in them. They're not cool. Like, I liked Captain Elliot. I actually wish this whole thing was about Captain Elliot and him fighting Dracula. Now, that would have been cooler because I liked Captain Elliot. It's his logbook. There is more moments when you sit with Captain Elliot that you're kind of interested in this old man. It's his last voyage. Like, him himself as a captain has said, I'm done doing this. When I get to London, I am going to retire. So they set up Captain Elliot as like a cool, grizzled veteran, done with the ship game, and he wants to retire. This is a hero that I can get behind because it's his last journey, and you're like, I want to see him succeed, but we don't get that. We see this man who loses everything, including his mind, and he becomes like a shell of himself instead of like the grizzled veteran who's like, I'm going to take down Dracula. But you give Clemens the I'm going to kill Dracula. It doesn't work in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Clemens is not cool and not an enjoyable character. And it's not the actor's fault. It's the character himself is not cool. I'm not invested with him. He's already a loser from the get-go. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't root for the guy. Like, it's the character is a loser. And he gets on the boat. He does a heroic thing to get on the boat, but he also did it out of what? His own selfishness? How can I get behind a character that does things for himself? He's not a selfless character, a hero, you know? He doesn't have hero qualities. He saved Toby only to get on the ship. You know what I'm saying? He didn't save Toby because he's a hero. He was never presented as a hero. He was presented as a loser. And he's like, this is the only way. You know what I'm saying? You guys get what I'm saying? Captain Elliot is the real hero here, and that's who should have been. He's the captain. You know what I'm saying? He should be the one who's like, I'm going down with the ship. I'm going to kill this bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I don't even know where I'm at with the story. Anyways, Clemens is like, yo, dogs, let's search the ship. Finally, we're on like day 7 of this voyage, and they're finally like, let's search the ship. And there's a scene in there. They go into the cargo hold. Anna's there. By the way, I just want you to know that Anna's in all the daylight scenes. Hold on to that. So they go down in the ship. They go to the cargo hold, and they find a very big casket or cargo box, and it has intricate locks on it. It has a nice emblem on it. It's Dracula's, obviously. So here's the thing. When they see this cargo box, they open it, unlock it, click, clack, click, click, from the outside. And this is why I don't think Dracula was who was attacking everyone. I think that's what made me think it's a minion doing it. You know what I'm saying? So they open it up, and on the top of the soil, undisturbed soil, I want to point out, is Dracula's cane, right? And it's on top of it. Which also made me go, how is this Dracula jumping in and out of this box all the time, locking the doors, the soil's not disturbed. Like, it's so stupid. It took me out. So then Clemens and Anna and Wojciech and the captain all hatch a plan, one final fight against Dracula or a vampire, and they do it, and everything blows up, and it's just an ending. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It's the final fight. Anna dies. She finally becomes a vampire because the blood transfusion wears off, and she dies in the sunset, heroic death. Wojciech dies. The captain dies. But guess who stays alive? Guess who stays alive? Clemens. Yeah. So we fast forward past the part of where we saw the ship already broken and all that, right? And we're in a bar. This is the end of the movie. Clemens is sitting there drinking, and we see a figure in the back with a top hat on, like so. And Clemens is proclaiming, like, I'm going to kill Dracula. And I'm like, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. You ain't Van Helsing. There's no way you're Van Helsing. If you're Clemens Van Helsing, because on the IMDb, they do not put a last name to him. He is only known as Clemens. So if they're trying to say that is going to be Clemens Van Helsing, no. Or no, you can't. No. I would have believed it was Captain Elliot Van Helsing and his son that he's going to see on retirement. He tells him the story, and his grandfather maybe comes and becomes a vampire. There's just so many cool things we could have done. I'm done. So we see Dracula at the end in the shadows of London, walking down the corridor, and he turns back and he gives his vampiric grin, which looked cool. But you want to know one thing? I just want to point this out. The thing that I was thinking of at the end of this was, one, was that a minion? Two, this is Dracula that I see now because he has the cane and stuff, and he looked more human. He didn't look like a man bat. You know what I'm saying? He looked different. So I was like, I think it's two different things. Anyways, the thing I thought that would have been cool at the end of this is he looked like Jack the Ripper. And I was like, if they made a sequel where this Dracula, before he becomes Dracula, he runs rampant in the streets of London, England, as like the idea of being Jack the Ripper, but it's been Dracula this whole time. Sign me up for that part 2. I want that movie. Give me that. I was like, I'm percolating ideas. Anyways, that's the end of the movie. That's also the end of my review. Again, the movie is okay. It is chock full of boringness, but there is some good vampiric scenes in here. It's not as bloody and gory that you would expect from a vampire movie that's rated R. So curb that down, because it is gory. There is some good gore, but it's mostly jump scares and what you see in the dark. Like, there is some times where I was like, the shadows are moving. Like, my imagination was playing tricks on me. It was kind of cool sometimes. I wish it was just better. There was like, I had so many ideas afterwards where I'm like, man, we could have done so many cool things with this. There's like, I don't want to go and make this review any longer than it is. But I have, like, it made me think of cooler ideas than what we were presented in this film. And that's a good thing, because I like when my imagination is sparked after seeing a film. But I'm just like, man, they left a lot of cool ideas on the table, on the cutting room floor. You know what I'm saying? They had some potentials in here. But whatever. Do I recommend you see it? Wait till digital, wait till streaming, wait till it's on cable TV. You don't need to see this in the theater. Yeah, just wait it out. Will it go into my collection? I don't think so. Maybe I'll get it because I want to get the Bram Stoker Dracula movie. So maybe I'd get that as a companion piece, maybe. But it's not a day one purchase for sure. That's for sure. That's something maybe if I find it on the marketplace, I'll be like, yeah, all right, I'll put it in the collection. But other than that, nah. So that's it for me. The next movie I'm going to see is The Blue Beetle. And I'm out of here because I got to go to work as always. My schedule is changing soon because it's almost winter seasons or fall's coming in. So the schedule changes. I can't wait. And yeah, man, whatever movie you guys are watching, I'm hoping you're loving it and digging it. I'm out of here. Peace out, everyone. Bye.